Okay, I believe we have a decent number of people here and trying to respect everyone's time, I'll go ahead and kick us off. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this Alphys Hour session on summer nutrition programs. I'm Shayla Bottoms, and I'm a technical assistant specialist for the Grandfamilies and Kinship Support Network at Generations United. Most of you are probably familiar with our work. We're the first and only National Technical Assistance Center on Grandfamilies and Kinship families. We work with states, tribes, and nonprofit organizations to improve supports for the families. We do this by offering individual assistance to professionals serving families like yourselves, developing resources, hosting webinars, and more, all free of charge. You can learn more about us by visiting our website at gksnetwork.org. We do this work with the help of 5 national partners, with Food Research and Action Center, or FRAC being one of them, who is going to be presenting today and answering your questions. While I'm going through the rest of this introduction, we'd also like to know who you all are, so feel free to put who you are and who you're with in the chat, your role, how you work with kinship families. We also want this session to be interactive, so please feel free to share and ask your questions along the way. And at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Kelsey Boone, who's a senior child nutrition policy analyst at FRAC.
Thank you so much. I always have trouble finding the unmute button. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get some slides underway. All right, let's see. There we go. All right. So, as Shayla said, my name is Kelsey Boone, and I work at the Food Research and Action Center. I focus mostly on summer and after-school programs, including the summer nutrition programs and summer EBT. I'm just going to be going over a little overview of the summer nutrition programs and kind of how they work, as well as eligibility criteria. If you have questions throughout, please feel free to raise your hand. And Susan, if you see somebody who raised their, or if somebody sees someone who raised their hand, please just stop me because I can't necessarily see everyone with my slides up, but happy to answer questions throughout as you have them, or if there are comments. This is definitely a dialogue, so really looking forward to hearing from you as well. So just to start, we'll see if this works. Here we have just a question to kind of get us started. So I just want to know, have you suggested or talked to families about participating in summer meals or summer EBT? To answer this, you can either scan the QR code with your phone, or we'll drop in the chat the link to click on to answer that question. So I'm going to give it just a minute while people are going ahead and answering that. I know that summer meals programs and summer EBT the summer meals program has been around for a really long time. Summer EBT is more of a new program. So just wanted to see what people's familiarity was with that. Awesome. Starting to get some responses. Awesome. Looks like so far everyone is responding summer meals and summer EBT. All right. So this is great. People know about, some of you know about both summer meals and summer EBT and have talked to your families about these programs. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. I've never used Microsoft Forms before. We were just talking about that before. So things are a little slow, but thanks for your patience. All right. So what happens during the summer months? And I'm sure this is just reiterating information you already are aware of and things that you have seen But during the summer months, students lose access to school meals that they rely on during the school year to remain fed. This leads to higher rates of food insecurity and food insufficiency among children. And there is an increased vulnerability to accelerated weight gain and increases in BMI, as well as obesity. This can also lead to learning loss and exacerbate the summer slide. Um, and the summer nutrition programs offer free meals to students during the summer, but are limited in their reach. And the summer EBT program, which is a new program, as I mentioned, can help fill that gap. You'll see throughout these slides, we do have some QR codes that lead to some of our resources. I'm sure if anyone would like the slides, we can share those around as well. So the summer nutrition programs are made up of two main programs with a third option that also just came into being in the last few years. So the summer nutrition programs are the traditional summer meals programs, as well as summer EBT. And US The other piece of this is the rural non-congregate summer meals, which fits underneath the traditional summer meals programs, but also exists to serve kind of a different population of children in these rural communities that don't have access to traditional summer meals. So USDA has been talking about these meals in the last few years as being a three-legged stool, just to hold up uh, the increase in um, summer feeding for these programs. So these are the three programs that we will be touching on today. And we'll start with summer meals. So the benefits of summer meals are that they ensure children receive the nutrition they need when the school year ends. A lot of summer meal sites do provide educational, enrichment, and recreational activities that keep children learning and active and safe when school is not in session. But these programs also allow program providers to stretch their budgets and for sponsors to strengthen their overall operations, allowing them to operate year round. So summer meals is made up of the summer food service program, as well as the seamless summer option, which is operated only by schools. So schools can operate the seamless summer option under the National School Lunch Program, allowing them to serve meals year round. So summer meal sites are located in areas where 50% or more of children qualify for free reduced price lunches. And those areas will operate what are called open sites. So that means that all children 18 years of age or younger can receive free meals at these sites. A lot of the time, these sites are in areas the children are already in, whether that's parks, libraries, schools. Another one that we hear of is hospitals. There are a lot of options for where sites can be located. Children can receive up to 2 meals a day, one meal and one snack. And that depends on what site you're at and what the sponsor has chosen to operate. Many meal sites do require children to consume food on site, and that's called what we call a congregate meal and a congregate meal site, which is where the rural non-congregate option comes in. So in areas that are designated as rural by USDA, sites can operate the rural non-congregate option. And these are sites that allow for meals to be eaten off-site. So that can be through methods such as parent guardian pickup, home delivery models, as well as mobile meal routes. And the difference between a home delivery model and a mobile meal route, home delivery is typically food that is shipped to a family, where a mobile meal route could be a converted school bus that goes along a certain route and makes different stops where children can go and get food from that place. But they can take it off or back to their homes after that. As you can see, the map I have here is what the new rural designation is for that USDA has put out for these sites. So a lot of the United States is covered by the rural non-congregate option. The little white spots are the spots that are considered urban, so those would not qualify, but there is a large proportion of the United States that is covered by the rural non-congregate option. And to see if you have a site in your area, you can go to the Summer Meals Site Finder, which is a USDA tool, and you can type in your address and it will show you any of the meals near your location. As you can see on this map right now, up in the Northeast, there are very few dots up there past Pennsylvania, and that's just because USDA uploads the sites as they are submitted to them. So these are just sites that are not operating right now. I know that uh, there are a lot of states that have already let out of school, but I also know that in specific portions of the United States, schools have not let out yet for the most part. So as those summer meal sites become available, they will be filled in to this site finder. The different colors indicate different types of sites. So the blue ones are congregate sites where children need to be on site to eat their food. And the orange dots are the ones where the meals are able to be taken off site. So if you want to see see the site Summer Meals Site Finder, the QR code is here. You can also just go to Google and Google summer meals, and it should pop up from USDA, the site finder. All right, that was a very quick overview of summer meals. So if there are questions, I'm happy to answer those. Um, Otherwise, I can move on to summer EBT. And we can share these slides after the presentation. All right, I will go ahead and move forward on to summer EBT. So summer EBT is a newer permanent program. I have to stop saying new because this is its third year of implementation. It is a permanent and nationwide program that began in summer of 2024. It provides families with an EBT card that has grocery benefits loaded onto it. Right now, each eligible child will receive $120 to use for groceries during the summer months. And this program really acts as a complement to the summer meals programs. And this program is shown to reduce food insecurity for low-income households, particularly in those rural areas that have low access to summer meal sites. Um, and there, this year, there are 38 states that are participating in the program. So each year, um, states have to opt into the program, and the last few years, we have had 37 states, with a few states coming in and off of the program. Um, and this year we have 38. The new states that have added the program are Iowa as well as Wyoming. And Utah actually dropped the program from last year. So those 38 states are operating. We also have 5 Indian tribal organizations that are operating, and all 5 of them are operating within the state of Oklahoma. They do cover about half of the state as far as the population that is eligible. So if you are residing in the state of Oklahoma, you're welcome to look up whether or not you're in the area that is covered by those Indian tribal organizations. And if you happen to be, or your families happen to be, they will most likely receive and are eligible, they most likely will receive benefits through one of the Indian tribal organizations operating the program. So the states in blue here are the states that are not operating the program currently. Obviously, Alaska, Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Indiana, South Dakota, Utah, and Idaho. And, while we're wrapping, sorry, here we go. Summer EBT eligibility, there are some kind of complicated pieces around eligibility. For the most part, eligibility for this program is straightforward, but there are a couple of pieces that can be confusing. Um, so the majority of students will receive this benefit automatically. So that is all children who are enrolled in a school that operates the National School Lunch Program and receives free meals through a application, free or reduced price school meals through an application, will receive the benefit automatically. Those who receive benefits through SNAP, TANF, so the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, the Food Distribution Program on Indian reservations, and in some states, Medicaid, who are school age, should receive the benefit as well. So when I say school age, that is also kind of a confusing topic because it is very state dependent. So school age is the state's compulsory school age range. That can be found on your school website or your state website, but also if you have specific questions about eligibility in your specific states and you reach out to me, happy to try to work through eligibility within your specific state as well. And states get to choose which programs they pull data from, so that can also be state specific. Most states do use SNAP and TANF information, but again, if there are questions about eligibility that are specific, I'm very happy to work through those as well. And then the third category of children who receive benefits automatically are those who are directly certified for school meals. And that includes students who are currently unhoused, students that are classified as runaway, a foster children, children in Head Start, or children who are considered from a migrant household. So all of those students should receive benefits automatically as well. As far as students who must apply for benefits, this is going to be the people that are income eligible in schools that provide free meals to all students and are not enrolled in one of the programs that their state pulls data from. So that's SNAP, TANF, the Dipper, or Medicaid. So that means like if you're in a healthy school meals for all states, so every student in your entire state gets free meals, you may need to fill out an application if you are not in one of those programs and have not filled out a school meal application previously. The other If you're in a community eligibility provision school, meaning all kids in just your district or in your school building receive free meals, and you're not on one of those programs, you may need to apply for the program as well. And then those who are income eligible in National School Lunch Program schools that do not have not submitted a school meals application for whatever reason. Um, I see there's a question in the chat. We have a lot of kids that are homeschooled. Our district is all free lunch. What can parents do who homeschool for summer EBT? So unfortunately, children who are homeschooled, unless they are enrolled in SNAP, TANF, one of these programs that the state pulls data automatically, homeschooled students are not eligible for the program. So if the child is in a SNAP household, they are considered school age. So you're in a state where the age range is from 6 to 17. That's a pretty typical compulsory age range for a state. So if they're within your state's age range and they are on one of these other programs, they should receive benefits automatically. Otherwise, the student needs to be tied to a school, meaning enrolled in a school that serves the national school or uses the National School Lunch Program. So unfortunately, homeschool students are not eligible to apply for benefits because they cannot be tied back to a National School Lunch Program school. And I think that's where there's a lot of confusion around eligibility. I know that the previous program before summer EBT, which was pandemic EBT, had different rules. So there is a lot of confusion around who could potentially be eligible. But unfortunately, homeschool students again, unless they are in one of those programs, will not be able to apply for these benefits. I know that is a little confusing. Happy to answer more questions on eligibility. But let me quickly go through some important notes about the program. So I know that one of the best practices that FRAC has been lifting up is that cards, having the EBT card actually be in the child's name as opposed to the parent or guardian. But there are some states that will issue summer EBT cards in the parent's name, parent and or guardian's name. So just knowing, understanding that that may be a barrier or something that your families need to think through or call their state and try to figure out. I'm happy to, again, individually, if you have individual scenarios to talk through those, but because this program is very state specific, it is hard to make generalizations about what it will look like as far as implementation. But we have been lifting up that as a best practice. The other thing that I will note is for your families, making sure that their mailing addresses for their cards are updated with their school is very important for getting the cards sent to the correct address, the correct family. Um, I know there have been a lot of issues with cards being sent to previous addresses or to individuals that either no longer have custody or any of those types of scenarios. So making sure that mailing addresses are updated with the school can help ensure that you have access to, your families have access to the program. And then a last flag here is the HR1, the bill that made a lot of cuts to SNAP, have made cuts that will have ripple effects on this program. The first is the freezing of the thrifty food plan. So the thrifty food plan is adjusted every year based on inflation, but also previously was supposed to have adjustments done based on kind of a bigger look um, at food costs and everything that goes into that. But with the current freeze on that, and it reverting to just inflation increases, these benefits are not going to increase very quickly. Right now we're still at $120. This is the third year of implementation, and it started at $120, meaning that we are concerned about these benefits becoming inadequate and not enough to really cover the summer period. $120 is already not really enough um, to really make up the gap between a child losing access to school meals. And so any benefit inadequacy is going to affect this program in the long term. We also have some loss of automatic eligibility. So any student who may fall off of the SNAP program or TANF because of these HR1 changes, those students will no longer be brought into the National School Lunch Program automatically, meaning they will have to fill out a school meals application to receive free or reduced price school meals. And so if they do not fill out that application, they will not be pulled over automatically into summer EBT and then may need to apply there as well. And then third, homeschooled students that lose access to SNAP and TANF. This is kind of what I was talking about before with the question in the chat. If a homeschool student loses access to SNAP or TANF, they will lose access to the program altogether because they can no longer they cannot apply for this program. It's only if they're pulled over through those data streams. So these are some things that we're concerned about and have lifted up on the changes based on the SNAP cuts in the HR1 bill. And I have my email here as well as a link to our summer nutrition programs page. And then the other place that if you have questions about summer meals and summer EBT is that you can look is your state website. Most states will have a summer meals and a summer EBT page that can help you with more specific information. All right. I am going to stop sharing so I can see my screen. And one at a time, I will put these questions in the chat. So that was a lot of information. So I want to pause and see if there's any questions from anyone before I start diving into some of these discussion questions that I have prepared.
Kelsey, can you just explain real quickly what the thrifty food plan is?
Yes, so the thrifty food plan is the cost of a low, sorry, let me reset. I want to make sure that I'm saying this correctly, and because I am not a SNAP expert, want um, I want to make sure I'm going to get this correct. So the Thrifty Food Plan is the cost of a limited cost on a limited budget for what USDA considers a healthy diet. And this is what SNAP benefits, it's the number of SNAP benefits a family receives is based upon. And because summer EBT is so tied to the SNAP infrastructure, because the $120 work like SNAP benefits, uh, that is also what the benefit level for summer EBT is based on. So there's a calculation that they do based on your income level and based on for SNAP that they do to calculate how much benefit a family receives each month based on the cost of this low cost diet. That was a little confusing. If anyone has any more questions, I can answer on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to put the first discussion question that I have in the chat, and feel free to just come off mute and respond or raise your hand, whatever works. So the first question that I have you heard about summer meal sites in your area? And if so, where did you hear about them? Was it from the state? Was it from the sponsors themselves? Was it through social media? How did you come to learn about summer meal sites that are in your area?
I'll come off mute. I'm Tasha, guys. I have a couple of places in our area that kind of posted in their newsletters. They have it in, for instance, our Bloomington Public Library has it, that it's a place where they provide summer meals. They even allow adults to buy a meal for a very low cost. But we have some of our other programs like the Boys and Girls Club and some of the other ones that do also provide summer meals. So really it's them giving out the information, letting us know what's available. And I also believe that some of the schools in our area also do it for a summer program. At least they did last year. And I don't have any children in school anymore, but I have grandchildren that are in school. And so it's good to know that information, but I haven't been able to see what the schools are doing. But certainly our libraries and some of our programs where children are at regularly are participating in the summer food program.
That's great. Yeah, I think, Boys and Girls Clubs are great places to look for summer meals. YMCAs are typically good sponsors and partners in this work. And yes, schools have been very instrumental in summer meals for a very long time. So, thank you for that. Um, Kim?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm calling from the state of Georgia, and I'm in the metro Atlanta area. And what, so how food gets distributed in the summer here is through, depending on the county, it's either through our park system, or where kids will be, or they're at the summer school sites where the kids will be, or they're at libraries where kids will be. So what I do is I'm on a couple of newsletters through the different counties that I work with, and so they'll give me the schedule, and I'll send it out to my caregivers because I work with Kinship um, caregivers in the metro area, and then I'll do a Google. But I'm noticing that one of the counties that I work with doesn't list their summer school schedule, their food schedule. And it's when I'm looking at it, it looks like it's you have to be in summer school to get the meal. So yeah.
That's really helpful. I think, yeah, so some schools that operate summer meal sites are operating what are called closed sites. So it's only for children who are either enrolled in the program, which could be the summer school enrollment, um, or who have like an eligibility determination for those meals. So that's what a closed site would be. Um,
Mhm.
so unfortunately, yeah, some of the sites will only serve the students that are yeah, enrolled in that piece. I see in the chat that libraries have been lifted up. Libraries are a great place for summer meal sites. There's also if any of your organizations are ever interested in becoming a site or a sponsor, and you have the capacity, there are a lot of great resources on how to become a sponsor or a site. A lot of these groups, Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, may be willing to, or even your schools may be willing to work with you to um, establish your own site if you are in an area that has area eligibility, so that you can actually function as a site yourself, if you have the capacity to do that. Um, if you decide to be a site instead of a sponsor, luckily that means that the sponsor is the one that can help you locate the food and potentially help with vending and do a lot of the background work as far as actually coordination of that. So it's always something to think about, is whether or not you can act as a site under another partner, if you have that type of relationship and organization and capacity. We have some things lifted up in the chat about religious sites. Yes, churches are also a great place for summer meal sites. Things like vacation Bible schools, like they can act as a site. Sites do not have to be for the full function for the full summer. They can act as these kind of smaller things. Like one great example is the summer school example. Um, you know, a site does not have to operate for 3 full months. They can operate when the program is operating. So that is something you can talk to your state agency about if you're interested in becoming any of that as well. And we also have an example of a non-congregate in the chat as well, that parents can go and pick up meals for kids, which is a really it is a newer option. It came from the practices from the pandemic, and then became its own standalone option under the Summer Food Service and Seamless Summer Option program. Kim?
Yes, I was just going to add, in the county that I live in Metro Atlanta, we have a summer meal program through the parks, but we also each city within the county is tied to a community garden, which I used to participate in for 3 years, and so we donate those foods. And so the parks will also have a fresh food distribution. In addition to the summer meal program, they have food all year round. And so they just go to the different parks, and it's based on that the food that we have grown, and it's included in those fresh food distributions. And that's open to not students or children, but it's open to families. So I think that's also pretty neat.
Yeah, that is an awesome program. I've not heard of that as a, something that's a wider spread. So I think that's a really cool addition to a summer meal site. And I think someone also mentioned, and I forgot to pick up this thread of adult meals. This is another thing that sometimes sites will offer. Some sites do offer adult meals at no cost or at low cost to help. Also, parents are bringing their kids to these meals or to these sites often. And so when a site does provide adult meals, it is very helpful. So that's another thing that may be available at your sites.
Kelsey, I have a question in regard to the adult meals. Are SNAP benefits accepted to purchase those meals if the adult has household SNAP benefits?
Unfortunately, no. Those SNAP benefits, yeah, they would not accept SNAP dollars at these sites. And I think I can dig up more information on adult meals. It's not something that FRAC has done a lot of you know research on, but it is something that it is an option that is available. So I can see if I can dig up any of our resources that we have on those.
Thanks, just curious.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and put the next discussion question in the chat as well. But if you have more to add on the first question, feel free to also bring those up. But the next question is, have you received information on summer EBT? And if so, who did you receive information from? And if not, who would you expect to receive that information from? Would you expect to hear it from the state agency, from your local schools? And yeah, any other information around that? Receiving it from the school. Yeah, that's one thing that we have seen. So FRAC is really interested in trying to figure out where parents and other groups are receiving information on summer EBT from. We think, the state agency should be in charge of doing a lot of this outreach and communication around the program. But that's not necessarily where a lot of people and groups receive their information on the program from. So I think we're really just trying to get a sense of where this information is flowing from and through. Schools have more limited capacity, and so we're trying to also see where there are gaps where we can help support school outreach when it comes to summer EBT, so that more people can hear about the program. Yes, Georgia unfortunately does not participate in summer EBT. There is a lot so in all of the states that are not participating currently in the program, there are active campaigns in the majority of those states to try to bring the program to those states. And in Georgia, we have a couple of partners that have been working really hard to bring the program to the state. And the same in Texas. Texas was this close to getting summer EBT, but was pulled out of their budget at the last minute. So yes, hopefully next year. One thing that you can always do is, if you are interested in in getting summer EBT to your state, you can talk to your local anti-hunger organization. A lot of them have a lot of support for this program and are doing a lot of work to try to spread the word about the program. So connect with your local your local organizations and see if there's any work being done on that. Pediatrician's office, houses of worship, and other places families go about summer ABT. Yes, definitely agree on that. Trying to figure out how to get those resources to those places without adding burden in onto people that are already overstretched. But yes, spreading the word is definitely something that is very important with the program to ensure that all children who are eligible can access the program. All right, I know we are only a few minutes away from the end of the session, but I'm going to just go ahead and stick the last two discussion questions in so that if you have any thoughts on them, we can talk about those. The first question is, what would make participation in either program easier for your families? And then, are there specific barriers that your families have encountered in participating in either summer meals or summer ABT? We know that one challenge that comes up frequently with summer meal sites is either not having a site near you or transportation to sites. And obviously, not all areas are eligible for rural non-congregate. So having a way to ensure that there are more sites in more accessible areas is really important. Something that FRAC is always trying to figure out how to reduce barriers. And then with transportation, I know that there are examples of some sites who have provided, bus tokens or things that allow families to come to the site with at a lower cost.
Does anyone have any last thoughts before we close out on those questions that Kelsey posed? Right. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Thanks everyone for joining us today. If you do have a question later or you want to comment on some of the questions that were posed, feel free to reach out to Kelsey. She put her email up on the screen. We may be able to get that in the chat as well. Our next session in this Federal Nutrition Programs and Kinship Families series will be held on July 21st from 2 to 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And that one's going to cover school meal programs. And yes, please, before you sign off, if you'll please take a moment to just let us know what you thought about today's session and give us some feedback. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us.